Thank you, Mark. Time for tonight's Keys to the Game is brought to you by Honda. For those to the Anaheim bench we go. Kent French standing by with assistant coach Trent Yawney.
Johnny, thank you. Philly has struggled this season, but they still have guys that can score like Claude Giroux and Jake Voracek. How do you make sure these guys don't hurt you tonight?
Well, two things. Take away their time and space 5-on-5 and keep them off the power play. A lot of their points have become on the power play, and their power play is very good. It's 5th in the league.
Trent, thank you. You bet. Johnny, back to you.
Thank you, Kent. The referees for tonight's game, Brad Meyer and Graham Skilleter. The linesmen are Steve Miller and Ryan Galloway. And it is back-to-back work nights for Steve Mason, who went last night in San Jose, made 25 saves in a 2-1 loss, a heartbreaker. And Frederick Anderson for the 13th straight goes for the Ducks. Anaheim in their home blacks and the Flyers in their road whites. Underway, and Silverberg rolls it in wide of Mason, a silly sider. There aren't many of them left, Brian.
No, there are not. You're right about that.
Right-hand catching goaltenders in the league left. Mark Streit moves it up the boards, and the Flyers will escape their zone. Grossman nudged it ahead. It comes back to him, and he gets it deep as it was swatted off the stick of Claude Giroux.
And how about the confidence that Bruce Boudreau is showing with Devante Smith-Pelly? This is the big line for the Flyers. The Flyers, of course, have to designate which line they are going to begin the game with, and it's the Giroux line. Devante Smith-Pelly is the centerman that Boudreau taps on the shoulder and says, get up there and shut those guys down.
Penalty coming up for the Ducks. Matt Reed was hooked in the neutral zone. Mason to the bench, and Philadelphia gets the extra attacker on. Trent Yawney was just talking about this dangerous Flyer power play, 5th in the league. They're going to get an early opportunity. Braden Coburn from out of his own zone. And his pass misses the intended Scott Lawton, and quickly out to touch it is Anderson.
See if we can pick up the penalty. It's in the neutral zone.
Yeah, it is.
Bourque reaches with one hand, gets his stick into the hands of Reed. And it's an undisciplined penalty for Rennie Bourque to take. Especially with, Bourque was the trailing forward on the play, so he had 4 teammates between Matt Reed and his own goal.
Flyers did some damage to the Ducks in Philadelphia back on the 14th of October. They were 2 for 4 on the power play. So Anaheim, they've been very efficient on the kill of late. Short-handed due to the Bourque penalty. The Ducks 24 of 26 on the kill in the last 7 games. That's 92%.
Big weapons for the Flyers. Giroux with 6 and Wayne Simmons with 5 power play goals this season.
Voracek is a big setup man for them as well. And here's a one-timer that is blocked by Getzlaf. As it breaks his stick, he goes right to the bench. And the Flyers forced to restart. Mark Streit is the quarterback of this power play unit as far as the blue line is concerned. Of course, no Kimmo Timonen in this season for the Flyers, and that has hurt their power play. A post shot by Simmons as he wrung one off the iron, and Anderson lives to see another day. Giroux works the left wing half wall. Right on the doorstep. Simmons fired it wide. And Cogliano pounces on it. Possible 2-on-1 shorthanded as Silverberg jumps up. Pass over, goes off his skate. So both teams living right on this particular power play. As the Ducks get the game's first break on a post shot. And the Ducks unable to convert at the other end on a partial odd man run.
Streit, you mentioned him being the quarterback. And you can see what happens if he gets a little bit of time to pick that head up in the offensive zone. He not only has a cannon of a shot, he's a great passer as well.
Couturier gets it in. Lawton puts it down low and now feeds it out to the line. McDonald gives it back to him. Scott Lawton, first-round draft pick from a couple of years ago. Fires it across. Couturier just missed. Couturier had the lone goal last night in San Jose. It came on a Flyer power play. His first power play goal in his 4-year NHL experience. That's a little hard to believe.
It is hard to believe. A big, strong, young player known more as a defensive stalwart than anything else. But boy, you watch him in the morning skates, and he's got some serious skill.
Mason moves it right up the middle. Chris Vandevelde moves it ahead. The penalty is over. Bourque out of the box for Ducks full strength. And 1-for-1 on the kill, and a penalty coming up to the Flyers behind the play. Ducks get the extra attacker on, but are unable to set up in the Philadelphia zone before it's touched up. we're going to get a hooking call.
Well, the referees are consistent. I will give them that. Not much in the way of contact, but there was contact made with the hands of Matt Clark right there. And again, it's just one hand on the stick. Prior to that, Wayne Simmons uses Cam Fowler as the screen, accepted that pass from Mark Streit. And the first big break of the game belongs to the Ducks. Anaheim had the one chance shorthanded.
The Ducks were 0 for 2 against the Flyers earlier this season on the power play. And they're looking to find a little rhythm with the extra man. They've gone 6 games without a power play goal coming into tonight. Kessler takes the draw, battles it back towards the net. It ends up on the high glass. Around it comes. Getzlaf is able to hold the zone. Perry moves it far side, and now middle of the ice, Vatanen fakes the shot, hands it off to the captain. On the doorstep, Maroon tried to return it, and Grossman blocked that. Luke Schenn gets to it, wires it around, and Giroux feeds it ahead just out of the reach of Couturier.
And you can see the Flyers looking to jump.
Perry counters back. Schultz bodies him up along the wall. Corey Perry able to poke it around, and Kessler kept it alive long enough to get it to Vatanen. Getzlaf has time, fires! And that was blocked and cleared away by the Flyers.
Yeah,
Schultz does the honors.
Got into that shooting lane. Getzlaf ripped it, and Schultz took it up high. But even the equipment the defenders wear now, John, is that little belly pad built right into the arm and shoulder protection. And it's amazing how everyone these days is willing to get into those shooting lanes.
Schultz, the shot-blocking leader for the Flyers this season. And that was on full display there. Ducks can't get through the neutral zone. Now brute force is deep. Bolesky trying to get it back to the point. It was broken up. It kept in. Smith-Pelly knocks it loose for Palmieri. Lindholm slides it across for Fowler. Half a minute to go on the power play. Fowler drives all the way below the goal line, flips it on the backhand back. Bolesky covers the point. He gets it from Lindholm. Wanted to curl it back to Hampus. He's there. Nice little move to get it to Bolesky, and the return feed is tipped away and easily cleared the length of the ice by the Flyers' Michael Raffl.
John, you and I have watched the Ducks in their practices during their off days in between games. They work on the power play, and the emphasis is on shots. Getting shots from everywhere, and it still looks like Anaheim is guilty of looking for the perfect play and the cross-ice pass before they put it on the goal.
The penalty to Van de Velde is over. The former North Dakota Fighting Sioux stand out of the box, and the Flyers full strength. So both teams fail on early power plays. We're not yet 6 minutes in at Honda Center. Schultz steps up, and a loose puck taken by Nate Thompson. Outlet intended for Jackman, and he gets entangled with Claude Giroux. Flyers bring it back. Voracek hounds the puck down low. Giroux tries to center. Now does get it in front, and it splits everyone and goes all the way into the Philadelphia zone.
One of the things that you will notice about the Flyers and their defense in particular is not a lot of mobility back there.
Lawton tips it in deep and then seals off the far wall. Scott Lawton moves it down low. Picked up his first NHL point last night, assisting on the Flyers' only goal. Lawton, a big scorer and junior. Simmons to the line. Streit doesn't have a shooting angle. Grossman looking for a tip, and he couldn't find Lawton. Trying to skate it out of his own Palmieri, but he is denied by Wayne Simmons. And then Lindholm takes it back.
Forechecking of the Flyers, very effective. Wayne Simmons in particular, he gets that pressure from the backside. And if you've got possession of the puck in the defensive zone, you've got to get the legs moving. And the Ducks, like every other team, under pressure are trying to make fancy plays sometimes when the best thing to do is just to gun it off the glass and get it out of harm's way.
Neither team with a shot on goal yet. We played over 7 minutes. And a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one throughout this game, join us later on in the game. We'll offer up a cold one. We call it Miller Time. Brought to you by Miller Lite as we look back on one of the key moments in tonight's contest.
The lead, in my mind, is huge tonight. The Ducks 11-0-4 when scoring the first goal. If the Flyers yield the first goal, they have one of the worst records in the league at 3-12-1 when they get scored on early.
Vatanen very nearly scored through traffic. I don't know if Mason ever saw it. The Flyers scored first in San Jose last night. That was the only time they've done it in 12 road games this season. Cut right to the front of the net. Smith-Pelly had a stick on it for a moment. Vatanen delivers the big hit on Matt Reed. Back to pick it up is Cogliano. It's chopped in by Silverberg, and Cogliano rolls it towards the Philadelphia net. Luke Schenn plays it away. 7-year veteran. And the Ducks will feed it right back in as Josh Manson took a bump to make that play from Zach Rinaldo, and Rinaldo will hit you. He leads the Flyers in both penalty minutes and hits. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he plays a lot bigger than his 5'10" frame. Ducks gain the line. Perry puts it up on the glass. Coburn reverses it away from forechecking pressure. And there's Rinaldo, who feeds it out of the zone. Fourth line out right now for Craig Berube's Flyers. That's a pretty good bump from Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, a French native. And that draws everyone's attention as the Ducks bring it back the other way. The hitting starting to pick up as Schultz fails to clear the zone. Fresh off the bench, Lindholm able to hold it in. Now Getzlaf sets up Vatanen with a one-timer, stick save by Mason. Game's first shot on goal, almost 9 minutes in, and Getzlaf fires high on a nice setup by Perry. Ducks able to keep. It was Lindholm who held the line. Getzlaf trying to filter it to the net. Cogliano chops at it, and Perry is run over by Schultz. The puck there for Bellemare.
Schultz has given the referee an earful. It looked to me like Schultz had a pretty good angle on him.
Vatanen back in his own zone, trying to catch the Flyers on a change, and Cogliano comes in with Silverberg. Jacob Silverberg circles the net, tries to stop it, comes right through the crease. And I believe the net may have been off behind Mason as a result, so we'll get a whistle in a scoreless tie.
Craig Berube's team got off to a slow start, seemed to right the ship, but boy, they have just fallen off a cliff in the last 10 games. And last night, he said they played one of their best games in the last month, only to have this happen. 11 seconds left. The goaltender makes a couple of big stops, and his own defenseman takes him out of the play. Matt Nieto would tap it home, and the Sharks, in regulation, would win that game by a score of 2-1. Berube has gone with the exact same lineup that played last night against San Jose, including his goaltender, Steve Mason, who played very, very well in that game.
Which means it's the second straight game in which Vinny Lecavalier has been a healthy scratch. The first time that has happened to him in his 16-year NHL career. Lecavalier joins Andrew McDonald as big money veterans who have been sat by Berube of late as the Flyers try to send messages and get some jump. And the number of players secondary scoring, the number of players who have not contributed, they are very top-heavy, this top line. When it includes Brayden Schenn, has 22 goals this season. The rest of the team has 27. But it's Michael Raffl who's on the wing with Voracek and Giroux now, and they're unable to bring it from behind the Anaheim goal. Nice job there by Cam Fowler.
You know what I like there? The patience. Fowler didn't pressure the puck behind. Got another penalty coming up here, and this one's going to go against the Flyers.
Yeah, Silverberg chipped it in, and he just got decked after he did so, and I believe that's the call Brad Meyer makes here.
Only penalty number 47, minor for interference.
So it's a late hit is the ruling that will send McDonald to the box. There's the chip. It's marginal. You know, you got about a split second to make contact with the player when he chips the puck by you, but Jacob Silverberg, no question, helped sell that call.
So Anaheim gets their second power play chance of the game. And Vatanen back to get it just past the halfway mark of the opening period. He circles the net. Watched by Sean Couturier. Skates right past him. And the give and go all the way to the far corner. Matt Reed, a very good penalty killer. Had 4 shorthanded goals a year ago. Now comes out to contest Getzlaf. Vatanen moving it around the perimeter, and Getzlaf has the right point. Measures it, takes the shot, got the tip from Maroon, and it fluttered just wide. Kessler and Perry pursue behind the net. The Flyers win the puck and will ice it.
Philadelphia.
Coburn there. Excuse me.
Philadelphia's given up 21 power play goals against this year. They're the last place ranked penalty killing unit. And the Ducks are a group that are looking for a good result in one game with their special teams.
Some ugly numbers on the road for the Flyer penalty kill. They're just 63% this season. They've given up 14 power play goals in 12 road games. Anderson gets a touch but can't play it as it skips outside the trapezoid, and Anaheim gets fresh troops on the power play. Palmieri met at the blue line. And it's hoisted the length of the ice by Lawton. Half a minute remaining in a power play that is yet to get set up. Palmieri across the line. Knocked off this year by Giroux. Pursues in the corner. Smith-Pelly can't get the handle. And back come the Flyers. Raffle, native of Austria, just feathers it into the Anaheim zone, and the Flyers will get changes on the kill. Perhaps time for one last rush. 10 seconds on the man advantage. Palmieri forced to dump it in. It eludes Mason. Flyers get it to the line, not out. Pileski all the way to the dot. Takes a shot. Mason made the stop. It's the second shot on goal in the game combined. They both belong to the Ducks. The penalty is over to McDonald and the Flyers full strength.
Power play out of sync, carrying the puck up the ice. And this one player, as he hits the blue line by himself, pucks are getting dumped in. There's just no close support. And as a result, they cannot regain possession.
Well, Brian, as you pointed out in the pregame show, Anaheim has dressed 5 different goaltenders this season. Tonight it's Igor Bobkov in the backup role. And Ilya Bryzgalov has signed a PTO, as they say, a pro tryout contract to perhaps rejoin the team that drafted him. Highest drafted goaltender in Ducks history at the time when he was taken in the second round. And Bryzgalov, of course, the colorful backup on the 07 Stanley Cup team behind J.S. Shiger. Went on to Phoenix, Philadelphia, Edmonton, and Minnesota since.
And should they elect to sign Ilya Bryzgalov, I think the morning media scrums will get way more interesting.
That is one of my favorites, and not just because he was so colorful. Voracek trying to get to it behind the net. The number 2 scorer in the National Hockey League wins the puck, but his pass back to the point skips out of the zone. Claude Giroux, who was second in the league in scoring a year ago, comes into tonight's 6th overall in the league. This is a potent top line for Craig Berube's Flyers.
And by the way, if you're wondering what that means, what does a professional tryout mean?
A chance for Perry, and he can't tap it over for Smith-Pelly. Excuse me, it was Jackman who came fresh off the Anaheim bench. There he goes again, and he hoists it over top. And a nice setup by Cogliano.
2 point-blank chances for Jackman. Quickly, John, a professional tryout is when the team invites a player to practice with the team. They only pay for his expenses. So they would fly Bryzgalov here, they'd put him up in a hotel, they pay for his meals, but there's no salary that can be exchanged. Here's the opportunity for Jackman. Tries to dish it off to Devante Smith-Pelly. And that was the first bid that he had on that shift. Had a second opportunity as well.
I don't think Tim Jackman will be too disappointed that I mistook him for Corey Perry there. He just came flying off the Anaheim bench. And he gets a bump there. As the puck is rimmed around and away, back to get it Botman. Along with Clayton Stoner. Stoner's first return after missing 5 games with the mumps. The Ducks will probably monitor his minutes rather closely, I would think. As the one constant all the players who've suffered from that ailment have told us about is lack of energy. Even upon their return, it takes a little while longer to get back to feeling right. Lindholm activates all the way below the hash mark to keep the puck alive. Now he has it in the corner. Throws it in front, and tied up nicely there was Jackman. Good job by Andrew McDonald, who had his stick. Now it's Maroon behind the net. Tries to center, goes through Jackman to Lindholm, and he rattles the high glass. It pops right back out to the top of the crease. Brian, Bruce Boudreau was telling us this morning how much he liked the play of his 4th line against Boston on Monday. It's because of play like that.
Yeah, body contact. It all starts with a forechecking presence, banging around the opposing defenders. They're not going to make fancy plays with the puck.
Here's a turnover in the neutral zone. Kessler gets it ahead to Palmieri, and his shot partially blocked by Nick Schultz. Coburn has pressure from Rennie Bourque in the corner. Caps it behind the net. He gets a little help as Van de Velde is there. And it takes a bump as he tries to play it ahead. Icing will be the call with an even 5 minutes remaining in the opening period. Coming up later on this season, it's Fan Appreciation Night here at Honda Center, and you could win a 2015 Honda CR-V. All you have to do to be in the running is send us a 15-second video. Tell us why. Why do you deserve the car? It's AnaheimDucks.com/I-want-my-CR-V.
You know you're not allowed to enter, right?
I already have. If they disregard my entry, that's their business. Getzlaf's shot is blocked, and it comes right over to Stoner, who can't get it through. Look at the Ducks hounding the puck in the Philadelphia zone. Getzlaf changes direction on Coburn. Gives it to Perry. The points are open. Stoner hard across for Vatanen. Stop and go move at the hash mark. Gets support there from Getzlaf. Behind net. Nice setup for Valesky as Perry saw him just slicing down the slot.
A great shift for the Ducks' big line. They got all kinds of pressure. The Flyers defense bending, not breaking. Anaheim has misfired on a lot of opportunities in this game. They've only been credited with 4 shots on goal so far, but they've missed more than that, and some pretty good opportunities as well.
And the Flyers have gotten sticks in shooting lanes, blocked a number of shots like that one, which goes out of play. No score at Honda Center. This will come as no surprise to General Manager Bob Murray or head coach Bruce Boudreau. Brian, the Ducks have used 12 defensemen already this season. No team in the league has used as many as the Ducks have.
Only Lindholm and Vatanen have played every game for the Ducks this season. And, we were talking with Bruce Boudreau about that earlier today. It's hard when there hasn't been any real consistency in terms of the pairings on the blue line. Even on the forward lines as well, with the injuries and the mumps and everything else that's been going on with this team. Boy, for a team that is at the top of the division, there has been a lot of drama surrounding them on almost a daily basis, it seems.
Most NHL teams, I think, realistically expect to use as many as 10 defensemen a season. Just the attrition rate of the 82-game regular season. You include exhibition and then, of course, playoffs from there. You have to, from a depth standpoint, expect to use that many. But 12 in 24, 25 games now is just remarkable. Anaheim reaches the 1/3 mark of their season here tonight. This is their 27th game of the year. The Flyers have played just 24.
Turnover here by Matt Clark. I would just put the announcer jinx on him. I was about to say, oh, he's been sensational. Really doing a nice job.
He got a good hit on Belmar, but the Flyers still possess in the Anaheim zone. Frederik Andersen, you got to think right about now, would do just almost anything to touch the hockey puck. And he's happy to take that one and cover it up on the backhand. Officially just his second save in almost 17 minutes of hockey.
Boudreau was talking about his young defenders and how hard they've battled. Matt Clark has given a puck away in the neutral zone. I think he was a little bit upset with himself. So it's a good, healthy way to take out your anger. Pretty good line.
Chris Van de Velde feels that way.
Yeah, Van de Velde. He's going to have to keep his head up. Clark is a physical defense. He's kind of mad at himself. See him shaking his head. I guarantee you that assistant coach Trent Yawney at some point in the next minute or so will lean over his shoulder, provide a few words of encouragement and positive reinforcement for him.
Yeah, he coughed that puck up. That's the reason the Flyers are able to play in the Anaheim zone. Now they get one through from Coburn off the faceoff. Perry the other way. Jumps into the middle. On the backhand, and Coburn tied his stick up as he tried to pull the trigger. Coburn rims it around the boards and a good outlet. And here come the Flyers with speed. Raffle puts it over to Giroux. And a good save on a knuckling puck by Anderson as he was retreating in his goal crease. There's something we haven't seen a lot of from the Flyers. Speed in the neutral zone as Giroux and Raffle were flying.
Well, both Giroux and Raffle, top speed. You're right, John, when they got possession of that puck. And a good stop by Frederik Andersen. It's a 2-on-1 break. Giroux is the puck carrier. quick dish into the middle, and look at the speed that Giroux has. Gets it back from Raffle, and you see those good hands of Claude Giroux. He's going to tap this puck right out of midair. Anderson's positioning is perfect. The big goaltender moves across. See how he squeezes those arms into his body so that pucks cannot go through. And it is a very large mass that Freddie Anderson presents to opponents.
They drop it at center ice after the puck was deflected into the Philadelphia bench. Each team now with just 4 shots on goal. Flyers have emphasized the defensive side of the play since things have started to go a little bit south on them. Played it pretty close to the vest of late. Weren't a ton of chances in that game in San Jose last night for either team as Philadelphia goes offside here. Let's update our American Honda 3-star leaderboard. See which Ducks players have been named stars of the game recently. If you're the number 1 star, we'll give you 5 points. 3 points for the number 2 star and 1 for the 3rd star. Frederik Andersen starting to stretch the lead at the top of the board there. Now 10 clear. Ryan Getzlaf.
Reflective of his certainly recent performance. His last 4 or 5 starts have been really strong games for Frederik.
Andersen now 8th in the league with 11 wins on the season. This is his 13th consecutive start. The longest such streak for an Anaheim netminder since Jonas Hiller started 32 straight in Bruce Boudreau's initial season behind the Ducks bench. That was back in the 11-12 campaign. Down to a minute 35 to go in a scoreless first period. Couturier in the corner. Brings it back out, trying to find Grossman, and it's picked off by Jackman. The other way with Bourque, and Bourque cannot return the favor, and the Flyers with a lot of space through neutral ice. It's Couturier again with Matt Reed. Reed takes the pass, can't get the shot to the net. He was a little bit handcuffed by it, and Manson pounced on him quickly. Maroon has it poked out of his skates. You know, this is a big game for Pat Maroon, Brian. He came to the Ducks from the Flyers, an organization that, as many players feel when they get traded, he felt kind of gave up on him, and he's obviously made the most of his opportunity here in Anaheim.
He was always a big scorer for their minor league club and did not get much of an opportunity to move up with the big team. He got that opportunity in Anaheim, and he's really taken full advantage.
He gets it ahead to Silverberg. Maroon coming into tonight 5 points in his last 6 games, and now Silverberg played the puck with a high stick, so we'll get a whistle with under 40 seconds to go in the first period.
You look at the numbers for Jakob Silverberg, and you think, when will the dam burst for him? Still sitting on 1 goal, and he'd be the first one to tell you that is well below his expectations. The last 2 seasons, Silverberg's had 10 goals on the year, including 10 with Ottawa during that shortened 48-game schedule.
Faceoff comes outside the Philadelphia stripe. Flyers 2-9-1 on the road this season, and winless in their last 8 away from the city of brotherly love. 0-7-1. Haven't lost as many as 9 straight away from home this century. It was 1999 the last time that happened to this proud franchise. No icing, so Lindholm, tracked by Voracek, has to be careful. Jacob Voracek, who's a very crafty player, but look at Lindholm, coast to coast. His long shot will be blocked, and that'll put an end to the opening period.
Well, this was a defensive battle in the opening period. Neither goaltender really tested. Anderson got the benefit of a post shot early on in the hockey game on a Flyer power play, but other than that, scoring chances few and far between, and probably the best chances that the Ducks had, they shot wide on those opportunities.
Close to the vest, maybe an understatement. The teams combined for just 8 shots on goal in a scoreless opening period, and we go downstairs to Mark Rogandino standing by with Guy Hebert.
Anaheim Ducks hockey is brought to you by your Southern California BMW Centers, official sponsor of the SoCal BMW Crosstown Cup.
Well, more hitting than anything in the opening period as we have no score between the Flyers and Ducks. For more to the Anaheim bench we go. Ken French standing by with assistant coach Brad Lauer.
Johnny, thank you, Brad. You guys 0 for 2 in the power play in the first 20 minutes. What do you need to do differently to take advantage of the worst penalty kill in the league?
Well, I think one thing right now, in zone wise, we need better, closer support for quicker puck movement. and then we got to establish a shot. And when we get the shot away, we got to get to the net.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Johnny, back to you.
Thank you, Kent. Brian, you were talking about it in the first period. Take the shot. We heard Brad Lauer just mention it.
Well, shooting the puck does so much for you. First of all, it's tough for defensemen because half the time they don't see the puck when it's released. They're covering their check in front of the net, so they have to turn, they have to locate the puck, and those split seconds of indecision or hesitation are opportunities for the power play that is facing the net. They usually get to those pucks a little bit quicker to then create quick plays on the goal.
Devontae Smith-Pelly with a face-off win to begin the period. And as he dumps it in, the icing is nullified as Cogliano had an angle on it. Fowler holds it in to the net, deflected on the way. One-handed by Cogliano and a good stop by Mason.
Yeah, I don't think that the bid by Cogliano got through. Grossman was trying to tie him up in front of the net. A bouncing puck.
Streit takes it all the way below the goal line, and Giroux giving a rough ride. Here's Cogliano behind the defense, goes backhand, and Mason got to that one.
Boy, Mason's got his number. Made a great save off of a rebound moments ago.
Turnover in the slot. Smith-Pelly sends it over top. Cogliano throws it right back through the middle, and it'll come out of the zone. Vatanen back to get it with Stoner. The Flyers trying to get the change. Second period, the difficult change. Rennie Bourque right off the bench in front, and it's a slashing penalty that keeps Kessler from getting a stick on it as the Flyers are going to go shorthanded here. I think it's Mark Streit.
You're right. Streit's going to go and sit down. Boy, Andrew Cogliano had a couple of beautiful chances here. It was Cogliano that got to the rebound. I thought Grossman had blocked it. That was a terrific stop by Mason with the left leg, and then the partial breakaway. Cogliano this time goes to the blocker's side, and Mason there all the way. Powerful push to shut down Andrew Cogliano.
Well, they're not the Broad Street Bullies anymore. Only 9 players of the 27 who played this season for the Flyers have even 10 penalty minutes this season, as you see Mark Streit feeling shame. But it's the third Anaheim power play of the evening. They're 0 for 2. We just heard Brad Lauer talk about what he wants to see this power play unit do. Let's see if they get some more shots through. Sami Vatanen along with Kessler, Perry, Getzlaf, and Maroon, the first power play unit for the Ducks. The late man coming in is Getzlaf, and they gain the zone without having to dump it in. Kessler moves it around, but Couturier is there to get a stick on it. Look out, Cookout. Here's a chance shorthanded. It's Matt Reed, and a good recovery by Vatanen, who slashed his stick.
It was indeed, but once again, boy, the Ducks look vulnerable on the power play. We've seen that for about 3 or 4 consecutive games now, where teams are really starting to put pressure on them.
Only one true defenseman out in this power play unit. That's Vatanen. And the Ducks have surrendered 3 shorthanded goals this season as well. Mason gets a piece of it behind the net, but doesn't corral it. Tracked down by Maroon, who gets it to the point. Fowler now out there as he replaces Vatanen. Getzlaf all the way to the goal line. Perry stick handles away from Schenn and then hooks it back. Good job by Kessler to receive the pass. Getzlaf puts his head down, lets it fly. Perry in front, tries to pass it back. It's Fowler and a save by Mason. Rebound Maroon over top. Glove down quickly by Perry, tries to get it to Kessler. It's broken up. Fowler holds the zone. Quickly across to Getzlaf, back to Fowler. Watched out high, he'll give it to Kessler. Half a minute in the power play. Kessler has to take it off his skate. Good job to get it back to Fowler. Now Getzlaf in the right circle. Maroon sets up high slot. It's Perry behind the net. In jumps Kessler. It goes through him. Fowler is there. Over to the captain. Getzlaf looks up. Again, chooses not to shoot. On the doorstep, Maroon stick handles and can't stick handle it past Mason, who covers off.
What a stop. Just a wonderful piece of goaltending there by Mason. His penalty-killing teammates were gassed. They didn't have much energy left to defend against these plays. You see the clear out by Corey Perry on Luke Schenn. Grossman taps that puck back to his goaltender. The Ducks had opportunities. Here's the bid by Cam Fowler. He's thinking top of the net. Mason well positioned at the top of the goal crease. And the partial breakaway by Reed, defended exceptionally well by Sami Vatanen, who got stick on stick and Reed and denied him what appeared to be a partial breakaway.
just 6 seconds left in the penalty to strike, as it's been all Anaheim in this second period, as evidenced by a 6-0 shot advantage. Nate Thompson in to take the draw. He won all 3 faceoffs he took in the first period, but he's unable to control this one as Claude Giroux wins it. Giroux nearly 56% in the circle on the season. Now sweeps it along. Icing will be the call because the penalty to strike had expired. The Flyers are back to full strength and now 3 for 3 on the kill tonight.
Rennie Bourque is being given an opportunity to play up, but because Pat Maroon was used in the last shift, he was back on the fourth line left wing. But a quick change. It's Devante Smith-Pelly, Cogliano, and Jakob Silverberg over to oppose the Giroux line. This is the matchup that Bruce Boudreau really seems comfortable with in this game.
Lindholm has to play it across. He's out there with Manson this time. Seen Hampus with Sammy Vatanen earlier in the game. Makes that short little pass, and Smith-Pelly angles it out of the zone. Braden Coburn, the 10-year vet, gives it right back to Michael Raffl. Giroux hits the brakes, lays it back. Schultz coming late, and the rebound right there. Good save by Anderson as Voracek with his back to the net, just trying to get it to the goal, and Anderson covers up.
Let's watch the stick of Jacob Voracek here. You could see that Hampus Lindholm had his stick into the midsection of Voracek. We'll get a better angle here. And a little shove by Lindholm there disrupts the bid by Voracek. Otherwise, he hoists that puck up, and perhaps it's over top of the goaltender. So those little plays make all the difference in the world. You have to contest every shot. Lindholm, even though he wasn't in a great position, was able to do that.
Voracek leads the Flyers in goals, assists, and points coming into tonight. 9 goals, 32 points. Nate Thompson hoists it over top of the Philadelphia goal. Jackman forces it back, and Bourque pursues. McDonald releases on the puck and then scales it up the boards into the Anaheim bench that came back onto the ice surface. Tonight on Fox Sports Live, a look at the Sixers, who go for a record of historical futility against the T-Wolves. Full highlights from across the NBA. An interview with Heisman favorite Marcus Mariota. And a full report from Cleveland. The Browns have named a starter. What does that mean for Johnny Football? It's all on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go tonight.
You were saying to the guys you'd like to be called Johnny Play-by-Play, right?
Yeah, it hasn't caught on. I think it was about 12 years ago I mentioned that for the first time. I have yet to hear anyone use it. Lindholm comes back, and it's settled by Anderson, and Hampus converged upon by a couple of forecheckers, able to move it away. Strange bounce off the glass, and Mason was ready for it.
Shows his experience and his awareness of the peculiarities that come into play here at Honda Center. The glass and the stanchions never get a clean dump in when pucks are shot in along the glass. Mason was in the right spot.
Well, he came in the first few years of his career a couple times a year as a member of the Columbus Blue Jackets, so either he's been burned by this barn before or he's seen someone get burned by it. Molesky tries to go forward off the face-off and hit the side of the net.
I think most players watch the highlights most nights. And I think pretty much everybody who's been around this game for any length of time is aware that a number of goalies have been burned by bounces in this building.
There's some gremlins at Honda Center. Couturier seals it off, tries to get it back to the front of the net. Good effort by Matt Clark, who went to one knee to block it and then clear the zone. He sweeps it away another time as the Flyers bring it right back to the line. Lindholm's pass intercepted by Braden Shen. His brother Luke brings it to center and turns it over. Getzlaf took it away. Joined by 3 teammates into the Philly zone. Gets the pass across, deflected, high slot. Fowler is able to get there. Pulls up on the hash mark. Ducks are still changing, so he curls it down low. Maroon in front. Stick save, Mason, as Maroon found Kessler coming off the bench.
Yeah, and Kessler had the stick break off in his hands. Pat Maroon seemed to take a little peek. He spots Ryan Kessler, and look at that. Shaft of the stick snaps in two. So Kessler can't get much on it. And anytime the stick breaks like that in the act of shooting, the puck's not going to leave the ice either. Mason's been good, though. The Ducks starting to pick it up now, out shooting the Flyers 12-5.
8-1 in this second period is the shot advantage for Anaheim as Kessler, unable to control the draw. Giroux wins it. Giroux takes over 40% of the Flyers' face-offs. That is the highest total of any single player for one team. As he gets this one to the Anaheim net, and Anderson hangs on to that one. Tonight's broadcast is also on AFN, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to U.S. Armed Forces in 175 countries and aboard ships at sea. They're watching in Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, and Japan. As always, welcome and thank you for all you do.
John, it is interesting to look at the numbers. Claude Giroux has 7 goals on the season. 6 of them have come on the power play. Wayne Simmonds has 8. 5 of them have come on the power play at even strength this year. Even the top players for the Flyers have been held pretty quiet.
Flyers -7 in 5-on-5 play as a team this season. They deny an Anaheim rush, and here comes Giroux with Voracek. Giroux all the way to the net, feeds it across, and they score!
What a pass.
Michael Raffl has his 7th of the season, and the Flyers are on the board.
Ducks turn the puck over in the offensive zone, and it is a quick strike by the Flyers, and Raffl cashes in just a pretty feed by Claude Giroux. Look at Giroux using his body to fend off the back check of Cam Fowler, and the pass comes across. And you can see Josh Manson could not get the stick into that passing lane. Raffl gets away from the back check of Kessler to give Philadelphia the 1-0 lead.
He missed 8 games with a foot injury, and Raffl finding a little bit of his offensive mojo here as Craig Berube has put him up on that top line in place of Braden Shen the last couple of games. And it pays dividends here tonight.
It's a huge goal for Philadelphia, a team that's having a tough time, going through a tough stretch, a little bit fragile emotionally, and scoring the first goal of this hockey game is just enormous for Craig Berube's group.
Well, our game lost an ambassador, an icon, and a gentleman yesterday, as at 83 years of age, Jean Beliveau passing away. Not necessarily in that order. He was a decorated player, won 10 Stanley Cups with the Montreal Canadiens. When he retired from the game in 1971, Brian, he was the 2nd all-time leading scorer, only behind Gordie Howe. He went on to have nearly as much, if not more, success in the front office as well.
I had the genuine pleasure of seeing Jean Beliveau on many occasions while I was playing with the Canadiens, and he conducted his whole life with such dignity and class. People don't know this, but well, as an executive with the Habs, he was actually offered the position of Governor General of Canada, which he declined. He wanted to stay a hockey executive and spend more time with his family, but just one of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Molesky scores after the play was whistled down as offside, and that draws the ire of all the Flyers. Perry and Simmons renew acquaintances from their days when Simmons was a king. Coburn trying to get at Molesky. Clark is in there as well now. Scott Laughton, the rookie, has fallen to the bottom of the pile.
And, you know, I think Matt Molesky shoots this puck because he's not sure that the whistle actually blew. It was a close play at the offensive blue line. The one thing the Flyers don't want to do is wake up the Ducks' big line in this game.
That was a vintage Matt Molesky shot.
Here's a look at the offside, John, and it's close. I mean, this looks onside to me. It was onside.
Yeah, I didn't think it was offside.
That's a bad call. Now, Mason relaxes because he hears the whistle. And so that puck probably does not go in. Shot by Matt Molesky. The Flyers are upset because Molesky shoots it after the whistle. But quite honestly, you know, there are some whistles that are louder than others. And I think Matt Molesky genuinely wasn't sure. And if you're not sure, you shoot the puck.
Well, Simmons and Perry are being escorted to their respective penalty boxes here. Who could blame Matt Molesky for shooting 5 goals in his last 7 games, 12 on the year? It's been a good decision for him so far this season.
Well, it's a tough call that goes against the Ducks. But again, I think Mason relaxes on the shot by Bolesky. Coincidental minor penalties called against Simmons and Perry. So the two teams will go 4-on-4. Bruce Boudreau looks upset. Right now he's very steamed, and rightfully so, with the linesman.
Well, both teams lose one of their preeminent goal scorers, to say the least, with Perry, fourth in the league coming into tonight, sitting down. And as you mentioned a moment ago, Simmons has 8. That's second highest for the Flyers. 4-on-4 is the result as Lindholm wins the puck battle, and Bolesky heads to the middle of the ice. Lindholm jumps into the play and gains the Philadelphia line. To the corner, fumbled it a little bit, so he drops it back to Getzlaf. Lindholm got decked, and now Botna's shot is blocked, and he'll have to hustle back to get it. Matt Reed will go to the bench for a change.
That one took a bite out of Matt Reed.
Onside this time is Bolesky as Giroux back checks him. And around the boards, Raffl can't get it. Neither can Getzlaf. So it's Sean Couturier into the Anaheim zone, forced wide on left wing. Mason pacing, but he gets it in front, and it's whipped right on by Giroux. Don't want to give Claude Giroux that much time with the puck in front of the net, but Anderson was true to the test. Now it's Fowler weaving his way into Philadelphia ice. Coburn moves it quickly, gets it back from Schultz. 40 seconds remain in the Coincidental Miners. Here's a turnover. Tagliano's shot is chopped wide. Silverberg sends it back behind the net. Tagliano looking for Silverberg. The pass was behind it. And it's Voracek off to the races with Giroux. Giroux drops it. Man off the bench, he's there. McDonald, his shot high and handled by Anderson. Flyers changing, so a lot of ice. Silverberg the other way, drops it. Ripped in by Fowler!
Teams playing 4-on-4, and Cam Fowler, with that great skating ability of his, creates an odd man rush for the Ducks. He's the late man coming. Silverberg knows he's there and just lays it down on the ice for him. I think this puck may have deflected off of Mark Streit. Yeah, judging by the reaction of the goaltender, yes. No chance for Mason. The deflected puck off the blast by Cam Fowler, and this game is all tied at 1.
His third of the season, and Silverberg with assists now in consecutive games. He's not finding the back of the net, but Jakob Silverberg still racking up the points. He's got 12 points on the season. And the Ducks have drawn even at 1. Trying to tap it away, but he can't. Locked into the Anaheim zone, goes cross ice, blocked by Kessler. Brushed ahead for Perry. He gets onside and hands it off. Palmieri lost it in his skates as he tried to get to the front net. Stoner has it hot with stick. Here comes Simmons the other way. He'll shoot. He scores! Wayne Simmons gives the Flyers the lead back just like that.
Wayne Simmons has been a real problem for the Ducks this season. A dangerous player, right-handed shot. He reminds me a lot of Corey Perry, the way he uses his reach. But this one is from a pretty severe angle. It's from outside the face-off dot, and Freddie Anderson starts leaning. And Anderson just whips it back. And you can see that puck wasn't off the post and in. That was about almost 10 inches inside the goalpost. So Wayne Simmons catches Freddie Anderson a little bit off his angle and makes him pay.
Simmons had only 3 goals in his last 20 games coming into tonight and was among those whom have been singled out as needing to contribute a little bit more. Now a big hit in the neutral zone and a penalty coming up for the Ducks. Matt Clark stepped up.
They call it an elbowing penalty against Clark.
They steamrolled Van de Velde right in front of the Philadelphia bench. So the Ducks tie it. 32 seconds later, Simmons gives them the lead. And then 13 seconds later, Clark's going to go to the penalty box.
Well, it was Van de Velde that was in the train tracks when Matt Clark stepped up. And you look at it from that angle, and there is contact with the head of Van de Velde. Well, the initial contact, depending on what angle you look at it, First, it looks like it's shoulder, then head, which is significant. And Vandenberg's head is down. This is as physical a game as we have seen, John, from Matt Clark.
Clark's picked up the hitting of late. Had 5 hits credited in the last couple of games. The Lakewood, Colorado native takes a seat, picking up penalty minutes 5 and 6 on the season at 8:59. Second Philadelphia power play of the night. They're 0 for 1. They lead 2-1. And the Ducks off the draw, able to ice it as Manson skates away and fires it down.
A big kill all of a sudden here for Anaheim, now trailing by a goal.
Flyers gain the zone. Streit trying to get into the net, partially blocked. Getzlaf comes up with it, skates it to center, and then it can only get as far as the blue line. Kessler with a good effort play. Gets it back to the captain. Ducks get a change. Cogliano jumps off the bench and sends it the rest of the way. Approaching the halfway mark of the hockey game at Honda Center. It is picked up here in the second. The Flyers lead 2-1. They have twice led by a goal. They have an extra man. Giroux gives it up, gets it back. Voracek around the boards, right back to Giroux. Giroux plays nearly 22 minutes a game. Second amongst forwards in the entire NHL. Flyers turn it over. Cogliano doesn't have an angle, so he lays it back. And it's hammered on net by Silverberg on his way to the bench.
Well, Cogliano had been on the ice for about 35 hard-working seconds and felt that he didn't have enough left in the tank to really push it.
Hard around. Streit gets a bounce right into the Anaheim goal crease, and Anderson blockers that away. A bouncing puck that's held in by McDonald. Couturier stepped into it and won't settle for anyone, but Smith-Pelly gets enough to clear the zone. McDonald feeds it across the line. Matt Reed angles it in. Vatanen looks over his shoulder and whips it hard around. Couturier waiting. Schultz one-timer. It's behind Anderson and tapped in. That was easy for R.J. Umberger. And the Flyers lead 3-1.
Anaheim had opportunities to clear that puck and could not. It started on the rim by Vatanen, and the one-timer goes wide of the net. I think it hits Umberger right in the hip and just lays down in the crease for the big forward. Here's a good look at it. Oh, it's off the blocker of Anderson into Umberger. And it goes off his arm and just sits there for him. It doesn't get any easier than that for R.J. Umberger. Now it's a 3-1 lead for Philly.
Flyer power play keeps rolling along. They're second in as many games on this Western trip, and all of a sudden, Philadelphia 3, Anaheim 1. Perry on right wing. Long wrist shot misses everything. Lindholm sweeps it across, and a bouncing puck eludes Clark. No speed on the wing. Umberger hits the brakes, and then Clark takes it back from him. Perry into the middle of the ice. Ducks might be 3-on-1 if they hurry. Getzlaf across the line. Lindholm drives the net. Score! That was off the post and in.
Eighth goal of the season for Getzlaf, and this one is ticketed for the top corner. This time the Flyers get caught on the pinch, and it is a 3-on-1 break. Getzlaf looks off the Flyer defender and the goaltender, and watch his shot. It does not get any more perfect than this. Water bottle shot up into the top of the net for the captain, Ryan Getzlaf, and the Ducks strike quickly to pull within one.
Lindholm and Perry will draw the helpers. Boy, after a rather mundane opening period.
About the defense.
Don't turn away. Now 3-2 Flyer. Coburn and Schultz at the line keep it in. And Kessler battles down low for a puck. And rolls right in front, and a backhand bid from Bellemare is held by Anderson. Well, the acrimony's picking up, and so is the goal scoring. 5 goals so far in the second.
Honda center Ryan Getzlaf has got the Ducks within one against the Philadelphia Flyers. You're skating down the ice. You looking to shoot? You looking to pass? What are you looking for out there?
I'm just looking for an opening, and obviously I thought their deep played it pretty well. I didn't really have much of a passing lane. I got a little congested, so it was a shot.
Ryan, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Johnny, back to you.
Thank you, Kent. 5 points now in the last 3 games for Getzlaf, the Ducks' leading scorer.
Well, this is a beauty. And Getzlaf, I think it is a little bit of an advantage to go over that glove hand of the silly cider when you're on that short side.
Steve Mason was in net when the Ducks were in Philadelphia on October the 14th. A 4-3 shootout win for the Ducks. It's been a hard luck season for Mason. So far, 4-9-2. Voracek with a bid, and that's in the glove of Frederik Andersen. Duck fans, you can help a Chalk Hospital patient this holiday season by donating a Wild Wingers Kids Club kit presented by UC Irvine. You'll automatically be entered for a chance to win great Ducks prizes as well. Visit wildwingerskidsclub.com today, all for a wonderful cause. No scoring in the first period. And then 5 goals in 5.5 minutes midway through the second period.
It has the feel like the rest of the game is going to be played more in this fashion, John. There's shots on goal. We get 20 of them so far in the first 12 minutes of this second period.
Teams combined for 8 in the entire first period. Finally, Anaheim chops it out of the zone. Nate Thompson sends it all the way back. No icing as Mason is out to curl it for his D. Up the wall, Clark pinches. Kicks it loose. Maroon got it through. Bad save, Mason. Thompson arriving in an ill mood in the corner. And he and Maroon keep it alive. Thompson protecting with his body, kicks it up. His pass squirts out to the line. Served over here inside the dot comes Lindholm through the screen of Maroon. Somehow Mason kept it out.
You got to like the instincts of Hampus Lindholm there. The way he tries to improve that shooting angle before delivering the shot on goal.
Now he pinches up the wall to keep the puck alive. Jackman is there to join Maroon in the fray. Arkstreit stabs it free, and Ronaldo hit hard by Jackman, who lost his stick, and his stick is severed into 2 pieces, and that will bring a slashing penalty.
Great shift for the Ducks' 4th line. Jackman and Maroon controlling the puck along the boards.
Penalty number 36, two-base tripping. It's slashing.
It's either a tripping or a slashing penalty, but I think it's the dreaded slashing the stick penalty for Zach Ronaldo right there. Just chops it in half. Here was that play by Hampus Lindholm, and that's what I mean about improving your shooting angle. A lot of guys, they get in tight on the goaltender and there's traffic in front, and they bring the puck wider, which makes it more difficult to hit those corners.
Off the draw, it's off the post from Kessler and nearly came right back into the crease. Anaheim's 4th power play of the night. They're 0 for 3, and Getzlaf controls the half wall. Kessler slides it over, wide open Vatanen lets it go, and it's absorbed by Mason.
The Ducks come close to tying this game. Offensive zone faceoff, and Ryan Kessler is in the shooting hole, and he gets it away in a hurry. He's got Mason beat over the blocker, catches a little piece of the crossbar, and almost off the glass, and right back to Corey Perry in front of the net.
Why does it always seem like Corey Perry's the only one who knows where the puck is in those situations? Mason certainly didn't. Face-off win allows Vatanen to work the right wing boards. Kessler whips it wide on the short side, looking for a tip from Perry there. Vatanen holds it in, Perry behind the net. Just releases it around for Kessler. He's on his backhand, tried to sneak it into the middle for Bolesky, and it skipped away.
It was good play defensively by Couturier there, who was all over Matt Bolesky in the middle of the ice. Bolesky couldn't field that puck cleanly.
Still over a minute of power play time. 6 minutes to go second period. 3-2 Philadelphia. Vatanen gets center red, hard around and in. Perry to the near boards after it. Getzlaf is there to support, curls into the middle. Now lays it back. Ducks are set up, but the pass hops the stick of Kessler a little bit. Recovered by Perry. Sets up Getzlaf, who gives it right back to him. Pressures, comes into the middle, blocker saved by Mason. Maroon behind the net. Again, uses the wall. Getzlaf covers the point. Pat Maroon trying to open up a passing lane for Vatanen. Instead, back for Getzlaf. He gets it to Vatanen. All the way to the dot. His pass comes back to Getzlaf, and his bid is held by Mason.
Mason able to see that puck. It changes direction and bounces to Ryan Getzlaf, and he just snaps it towards the front of the net. Here's the bounce and the change of direction. It goes through Kessler. It hits Mason right in the breadbasket.
Mason, a product of the London Knights program of the OHL, as is Corey Perry, a program that has turned out so many outstanding NHL players over the last decade or so. Mason won a Calder Trophy as a member of the Blue Jackets. Somewhat resurrecting his career here for the Flyers, but Philadelphia has not been a place where goaltenders have made a lot of hay over the years. Smith-Pelly from behind the net, feeds it back out. Final 10 seconds of the power play. Fowler throws it to the net, blocked on the way, and curled up and out by Giroux. That'll do it. The penalty is over to Ronaldo. The Flyers 4 for 4 on the kill, and now they intercept at center. It's Giroux. Skates away from a couple of stick checks and then tries to get it back to the net. Umberger falls down. Simmons steps out. This shot turned away by Anderson, who stayed home. And now the Ducks the other way. Smith-Pelly goes wide, brings it into the middle. His shot is blocked by Andrew McDonald. McDonald has it again, moves it ahead. Simmons bats it out of midair as he gets it from Lawton, but it doesn't go any deeper into the Anaheim zone. Manson jumps into the play but can't get the puck back below the Philadelphia goal line. 4 minutes to go in the second period. All the scoring in the game has come here in the middle frame. It's 3-2 Flyers. Stoner stretches it ahead, tipped into the zone by Nate Thompson. Firing in after it is Silverberg, but he can't get to it. Stoner loses it to Giroux, comes back, bats it below the goal line. Giroux gets it for Voracek. Voracek puts it on a tee for Streit, now gets it back. One-time blast by Schenn, misses everything. Raffl collects the rebound over to Voracek, and that shot blocked by Stoner goes out of play.
Oh boy, what a pass. Jacob Voracek would like to have that one back. He had room up top, he knows it. Raffl with a strike finds Voracek. For examination, this shot by Jacob Voracek actually hits the goaltender Freddie Anderson right in the forehead and bounces up and out of play. So a great save on a second effort by Anderson. Star watch tonight, Voracek got an assist, a couple of shots. He's been dangerous. Corey Perry, his counterpart on the Ducks bench, has got an assist and just one shot on goal thus far.
Perry now 4 points in his last 3 games, starting to regain the strength lost from the 5-game absence due to the mumps.
10 pounds, and Corey Perry didn't have 10 pounds to lose.
Nate Thompson, as he's being knocked down, able to get it deep slowly behind the Philadelphia goal. Mason had to wait for that. Raffl moves it into the middle, and here's speed through the neutral zone. Claude Giroux. Drop pass to Voracek, and he sent it over top of the net. Coburn holds it in near side. Voracek has it dislodged by Cogliano, clears the zone. Schultz steers it right back in as the Flyers touch up. There's another strange stanchion bounce as it ends up on the back of the Anaheim goal. Grossman trying to just tap it ahead. It's intercepted by Vatanen, who was up on the play. And now he gets help from Silverberg. Drop past Cogliano. Backhands it right through the blue paint. Comes to Lindholm on the near side. Wires it across. Fowler's shot block. Fowler has one of the 2 Anaheim goals here tonight. Getzlaf with the other. Lindholm doesn't give up the line. And now has to retreat as Matt Reed does get it. This pass into the middle picked off by Lindholm. Tries to go up the middle, but he missed Corey Perry with it. Icing is the call. They say Andrew McDonald had enough of an advantage to draw the whistle.
There's just a lot more room to skate in this second period than there was in the first. And did not feel like a game that's going to end 3-2. I guarantee you that. Both teams seem on almost every shift to be right on the verge of either getting or giving up an outnumbered attack. Both coaches are spending a lot of time looking at the overhead scoreboard here.
Flyers played Saturday afternoon at the Garden in New York and immediately flew to the West Coast, although they didn't play the Sharks until last night, Tuesday. They arrived Saturday night in California. After tonight, they don't play till Saturday when they'll be at Staples Center for a matinee affair against the Kings. And then their trip winds up in Columbus, Ohio following that one. I believe that game is on Tuesday night as well. A lot of downtime for a Flyers team that feels in some respects they need to bond a little bit more. A lot of the comments coming out of Philadelphia and coming out of their locker room talking about a lack of confidence coming into this road trip. They're hoping to put something together to build on. As they're 7th in the Metro Division, 15th in the 16-team Eastern Conference. Getzlaf fires at the length of the ice. Mason forced to make a save because he knew Jackman was behind the defense at the blue line.
It's a play Getzlaf likes. Shoot the puck from his own side of center, especially in the second period of games.
Maroon wins the puck down low twice. Now tried to tap it along for Jackman, who comes in. From the seat of his pants, McDonald chopping away, came to the front of the net. Simmons covered up. Botman gets clear passes. Botman intercepts, walks to the slot. Takes a little chip shot, and a good save by Mason, and it's stuffed in! The Ducks stay with it, Botman ends up getting the goal after all. And Mason was looking over the wrong shoulder trying to find the puck.
Yeah. Sammy Botman has a flair for the dramatic. He's just got a sense about him. When to jump in, when to gamble. Look at the quickness, though. He gets away from a couple of Flyers. Forces Mason to make a real good stop, and then he watches as the puck comes right back to him, and he just backhands it into a wide open net. But what an effort by Sammy Botman.
It's Maroon who got it back to him, though.
Yep, you're right, John. Great play by Pat Maroon to keep it alive. And the Ducks' fourth line comes up with a huge goal late in the second.
Botman came into the night the third leading goal scorer amongst defensemen in the league. That's his 7th of the season, eclipsing the 6th he potted last year in 48 games. But more importantly, it has drawn the Ducks back even at 3. They once trailed 3-1 here in the second period. And Brian, you guaranteed it would not finish 3-2. You're a man of your word.
I'd like to thank Pat Maroon and Sammy Botman for that.
And the Academy. Puck covered by Anderson with just 19 seconds left in the period.
We held our breath last game when Botman left the game in the third period and did not return. And here's part of the reason why. Only Mark Giordano of the Calgary Flames with more points among defensemen than Botman this season. It has been a breakthrough year for Sammy.
14 points for Botman in the last 14 games, and he handles off the faceoff. Moves it ahead. Perry into the middle. Was hoping for Getzlaf, but Coburn got in the way of that. Schultz nearly fumbles it away back in his own zone. Coburn wants to keep it along the boards as long as he can. Now the Flyers clear, and that'll do it for a very eventful second period, particularly when you put it up side by side with the opening frame.
Give Paul Mason, I thought he was actually very good. He tells you that the Flyers are going to have a tough time keeping the Ducks from generating more scoring chances. Anaheim, when they crank it up and get pressure on the Flyers' defense, they're going to create enough chances to win this hockey game if they take care of business in their own end.
A 19-shot period for the Ducks, who once trailed 3-1. But they have drawn all square after 2, and we go downstairs to Mark Rogandino. Set to begin the third period of play at Honda Center, with the Ducks and Flyers deadlocked at 3. Anaheim 2-0-3 this season when tied after 2 periods of play. Flyers trying to put an end to an 8-game skid on the road, a 5-game losing streak overall.
And they start the Giroux line, and true to form, Bruce Boudreau comes right back with Devante Smith-Pelly in the middle of the ice, Cogliano and Silverberg. So he wants speed to oppose and try and shut down Giroux. He doesn't want his big guys, Getzlaf and Perry, to go head-to-head against the Giroux line.
Puck reeled in and covered by Mason after the Flyers had a couple of chances to clear and did not. As Cogliano and Smith-Pelly, along with Silverberg, had the Flyers hemmed up right from the start in a conversation between Giroux and Silverberg as they each make their way back to their respective benches.
And that will warm the heart of Bruce Boudreau, watching Jakob Silverberg irritate Claude Giroux.
Face off to the right of Mason. And Kessler out to take it for Anaheim. And he wins it cleanly. Lindholm purposely wide off the back of the Philadelphia goal. Kessler strides over and hems it in. Jackman in on the forecheck as Coburn reverses it away. So Maroon and Jackman with Kessler, a heavy line to say the least for Bruce Boudreau, and the Flyers are forced to ice.
You're right, and by design, he wants pucks in deep, he wants body contact, he wants to wear down, especially I think Coburn when he's on the ice. Ruby's done a good job of managing his defensemen. All 6 defensemen have played more than 11 minutes so far in this game. So forced into that situation where you can't shorten your bench when you're playing the second half of back-to-backs.
Face-off win for the Flyers, and it's sent ahead. Couturier stepped into, though, by Lindholm, and it goes no further. Coburn whips it hard around. Couturier this time tries to make a play with it as he lobs it to the middle of the ice. Matt Reed got it inside the blue line, but no further. And here comes Jackman up right wing. His shot impeded on the back check by Simmons. Wayne Simmons sends it in. He has one of the 3 Philadelphia goals tonight, and he denies the reversal as he took it away from Fowler. Fowler takes it back. Simmons ends up on his keister, and the Ducks break out. Perry on his off wing into the Philadelphia zone. Hits the brakes. Great pass across. Bolesky tried to make another pass. It ricocheted right on net. A left pad save by Mason. Perry seals it off. Bolesky comes away with it. A bouncing puck to the line. It did come out. So Anaheim forced to touch up. Not yet 2 minutes into the third period. Ducks will go out on the road after this one. They'll be at Minnesota on Friday and at Winnipeg on Sunday before they return home for one with the Edmonton Oilers a week from tonight.
John, in the early going here, we're seeing quick touches from the Anaheim defense. They go back, they get the puck, and they move it right away.
Couturier throws it across an empty slot. Up the boards, Umberger to the line, and Schen's shot in and out of the glove of Anderson. May have been tipped at the last moment. Palmieri deflects it to center. McDonald curls it back, but the Flyers hadn't vacated the zone, so it's offside. You can look it up, it's in the rule book.
Clayton Stoner's done a nice job in this game in his return to the lineup, and Bruce Boudreau has done a nice job managing Clayton Stoner. He's only played 9 minutes through 40 minutes. He's been keeping a close eye on him, and he knows what Corey Perry went through, what Francois Beauchemin went through when they came back from suffering from the mumps. I still don't think Corey Perry is all the way back yet from that illness. He's getting there.
Still partially mumped. 17:15 to go in the game. 3-3 the Flyers and Ducks, and that one's a souvenir as it ricochets over the glass into the crowd near side.
Good look at Matt Clark. He's done a nice job in his ascension into the Ducks lineup.
This is his 7th game of the season. He's a +2, including tonight.
And I don't think you can ask for much more, you know, for a young player, come up from the American Hockey League, doesn't have a lot of NHL experience, and play a lot more minutes than he was expecting to, or the Ducks were expecting to play him. And he's gotten better, right? And I think that's the most important thing. You've seen a progression with Matt Clark. He's a much more confident player handling the puck now. And then Matt Clark we saw when he first arrived on the scene. I think he knows now, John, that he can play in this league.
Flyers throw it back into the Anaheim zone, and Fowler trying to find a passing lane, does get it to Silfverberg. Giroux all the way back. For Nick Grossman, the former Dallas Star, +3 coming into tonight, the plus-minus leader on the Philadelphia blue line. He'll head to the bench for a change. Fowler with a lot of room, but he misses Silfverberg with a pass. Smith-Pelly trying to get it in, denied by Simmons. Little pick at the blue line, took Manson out of the play. Lawton trying to get it from a bad angle to the Anaheim goal. Chip skyward by Silfverberg, and a hand pass called against the Flyers as they try to counter back.
Yeah, and the Flyers, you get the sense that they're just hanging on, John. That they are lining up across the blue line, allowing the Ducks to come at them. And if Anaheim is smart, they'll pay particular care when they carry that puck as they approach the Philadelphia blue line. They get pucks in deep. They should be able to wear them down.
Early going to this third period, Brian, it has a feel more like the first period. Flyers, as you mentioned, might be a little bit fragile. They haven't won on the road in 42 days. Their last road win came at Pittsburgh, of all places, on the 22nd of October. So far, they've come to California, lost with less than 15 seconds to go, and watched it rain everywhere they've been. Not much of a California trip so far for the Flyers. They've also seen a 3-1 lead evaporate here tonight. Now tied at 3 with 15:35 to go in the third period. Couturier has room up left wing into the Anaheim zone. Takes it wide, hooks it right back in front. Nice job tying up Umberger there by Matt Clark. Getzlaf looks over his shoulder, tries to move it quickly. Umberger's all over it and gets the puck away. Molesky fights free from Couturier. Ducks 3-on-2. Here they come, Perry, and offside goes Lindholm. And he was trying to drive the center lane, and Perry took it wide.
He's a good full stride across that blue line. The idea was right, but he miscalculates how quickly Corey Perry is going to be able to get that puck over the line. And that's tough play because the Ducks had numbers. And it's an opportunity lost on the offside.
It was Lindholm who drove the net on the Getzlaf goal in the second period, and he was trying to do the same thing there. Campus has an assist tonight. Molesky trying to move it along through center. Schultz up the near side. He'll rocket it in off the stick of Ronaldo, and it's scooped up by Anderson, who is forced to hold for a faceoff.
Now we're back to a careful game. What D. Hebert described the opening period, and that's the way this third period has unfolded so far. With the first touch Freddie Anderson's had on a puck.
And Giroux to take the draw against Kessler, who has been nails in the defensive zone tonight. Perfect 4 for 4.
Last game, Ryan Kessler ate up Patrice Bergeron in the face-off circle. In this game, he's had his way with Claude Giroux.
Giroux controls this one. The old broadcaster's curse never fails. McDonald puts it below the goal line. Raffle kicks it along.
With the old.
Come on, I'm trying to include you. Voracek lets it go through. Now gets it back from Luke Schenn, who shovels it to the net. And a blocker saved by Anderson, who was out at the top of his goal crease. Centering pass skitters back. to McDonald, and again Schenn angling it off the boards, forcing Anderson to freeze it.
You know, best shift from the Flyers in this third period. They control the puck down low. Don't get a lot of dangerous chances, but just territorially they take a little of the pressure off their defense. Claude Giroux will do that. He tends to put people back on their heels because he can make folks miss. He is so deceptive.
After tonight, only 2 more games before the Christmas holiday at Honda Center for the Ducks. That's not many when you consider there's 22 shopping days left till Christmas. I know how you are, Brian. You like to wait when you're buying my present.
You're right about that.
Thought I'd try to at least remind you that you don't have as much time as you think.
There's plenty. Plenty of time.
Lawton's shot is blocked down the way to the net. Behind the net is Brayden Schenn. He gets it to Simmons, and his shot was broken up as Vatanen got a piece of it. Simmons has it again. And the give-and-go return for Simmons is deflected high in the air and out center ice. Streit backhands it in, and the Flyers try to go for a change. Stoner turned away at his own blue line, just throws it back into Philadelphia ice, and Coburn tries to counter quickly. He joins the rush into the Anaheim zone, misses the net. And Raffl is tied up. Jackman gets it back from Stoner into the Philadelphia zone. Puts his head down and rips it just wide. Mason was off balance.
He got all of that.
In a hurry, Giroux. Second in the league in shots on goal. He's not afraid. His bid went off the high glass. Now he wants to pass. Instead, he steps out and shoots. It makes its way through, and Anderson hangs on. The Flyers trying to build a little momentum in a tie game. Tied at 3. Here's our Hyundai game summary. The first period, the teams combined for 8 shots. The second period, they combined for almost as many goals as they had shots in the opening period. And Sami Vatanen with a nifty game tire to put us where we are in a thus far scoreless third.
We're getting used to that. Sami Vatanen scoring key goals in games. Taking it on his shoulders when he senses that his teammates aren't getting much going offensively. We felt it again tonight.
Career high 7th of the year. Second straight game with a goal for Vatanen. The 23-year-old watches Frederik Andersen at the other end keep a couple away as the Flyers just don't take this line off the ice if they don't have to. The top line tonight, Raffl with Voracek and Giroux.
Well, they use every timeout to their advantage. I mean, every timeout, they're back on the ice immediately following.
Schultz looking for a tip as he fired it well wide. Coburn steps up. He and Cogliano engaged for a loose puck along the wall. And Fowler wins the puck battle. Cam Fowler's had a good game today. Manson taps it back into the Philadelphia zone. Can't go in after it as the Ducks were offside. So now changes for Anaheim defensively, and Clark has pressure. Anderson, good recognition there, so he spun the puck away. Getzlaf from Perry, and he'll lob it to the near corner. Grossman turns away and makes a nice little play, enabling Couturier to get out of the zone.
Well, you're right. That was a nice play by Nick Grossman under pressure with Getzlaf and Perry surrounding him.
Umberger down low. Tied up by Lindholm. Pileski drops down, and his pass through the middle of the ice skipped away from Matt Clark. Perry is there to recover. Lindholm under pressure from Sean Couturier. Couturier trying to whip it back to the line. Now it is Grossman who has it. His shot is blocked to the corner by Getzlaf. Ryan Getzlaf picks it up on the wall. Just lobs it to center over the head of Grossman. This will be an icing call. Getzlaf came up with the puck on the near wall, but he wasn't moving. And when he got moving, he didn't have any options, and he's frustrated.
Yeah, well, he doesn't like the icing call. But I don't disagree with the linesman on this one.
He says Grossman could have reached up and gloved that puck down.
A big face-off here. The Flyers have had the big line of the Ducks pinned up for some time.
Scott Laughton, first-round draft pick in 2012. Well, the Oshawa Generals unable to win the draw from Getzlaf, and Anderson makes the wrist shot save look easy. A little contact with the Anaheim netminder. Wayne Simmons draws attention.
Simmons is sticking his chin out. He's going to the front of the net, hoping someone takes a poke at him. And you gotta love Wayne Simmons and the desperation that he brings every shift. I mean, he is a hard-working guy. It has been a real nice find. Of course, came over in the Mike Richards deal with the Los Angeles Kings. Really found a home in Philadelphia.
29 goals, 60 points, 15 power play goals last year. All career highs for Simmons. Schenn fires it over top of the net as the Flyers win another faceoff. Philadelphia has played a majority of this third period in the Anaheim zone. Vatanen pulls it out of the fray, and he'll use the glass to clear. And again, this is going to be an icing call against the Ducks.
Those ones, I always look at those icings and I think of New Year's, the races for the pucks that used to be a part of the game. I understand why they changed the rule for the icing. It's a safety issue. But it's frustrating at times when you see the attacking forward that close to a puck and the icing is called. Tough play for the linesman to make that call. They have to make a decision at the moment the first player crosses the hash marks.
The Flyers find themselves where they were a night ago, tied in the third on the road. Strike's shot, good traffic in front, but it ricochets to the corner, never got to Anderson. Vatanen looks around, flips it up on the glass on the backhand, and that allows Stoner to make a play as he got crushed. Jackman picks it up at center, looking for Kessler in front. That was denied by Schultz. He gets it back, cycles down low. Kessler got it to the side of the net, and Mason will pull it in and hold on.
Been an interesting line for Bruce Boudreau. Cogliano now with Kessler and Jackman. Clayton Stoner, first game back, takes a hit to make a play, and that's what you got to do in a tie game in the third period. Plenty of time left in this one. Over 10 minutes. That next goal is obviously just going to be enormous. Philadelphia has come on a little bit. They've made their push in the last few shifts.
The month of December for Philadelphia will be spent primarily on the road. 10 of 14 games this month for the Flyers will be played away from Philadelphia. Umberger leaves it for Reed. He whips it around. Left point coverage comes from Andrew McDonald. The former Islander spins it all the way back to the far corner. Cogliano got to it, put it behind the net, but he doesn't have it now. Umberger, the former Ohio State standout, gives it to Reed. Back to the line. Grossman shovels it quickly over top of the net. Anderson didn't appear to see it. Fowler digs it free. Uses the end boards. And Manson gives it back. Cam Fowler from behind the Anaheim goal. Waits for the changes to complete off the Anaheim bench. Manson finding a little room in the middle of the ice. Now hammers it in. Just missed Corey Perry, who was parked at the near side post. And it's the Flyers' turn to ice the puck.
There's no room whatsoever in the neutral zone right now for either team. So this has become a territorial game. Offensive zone face-off here for the Ducks. See if they can get something going off the draw. They have not had much going against Mason in some time now.
8 different Ducks on the score sheet to this point. Getzlaf tries to shoot off the face-off, missed on the short side. Van de Velde can't clear the zone. Thrown across by Perry. Bolesky shovels it below the goal line. Weird bounce. Getzlaf gets it over to Perry. He throws it into the slot. Grossman got a stick on it. So did Bolesky. So did Perry. In comes Lindholm. And he one-times a rolling puck wide. Clark pinches and it's poked past him by Ronaldo, who hurries to the bench for a change.
Yeah, good play by Ronaldo. Another example of a player taking a hit. Knows he's going to get crushed.
Ducks turn it over in the neutral zone. Couturier trying to get around Getzlaf. He forces him wide. In behind the net, Lindholm takes Simmons wide. His spin move goes straight up in the air, batted away by Frederik Andersen. Perry trying to drag it up the wall, and he will at least clear the zone. Braden Shen turns with it. He ran into a lot of traffic. Andersen quickly ahead for Perry. Flyers are changing. Perry gets to it, makes the pass, and the shot from Thompson went off a skate and wide. Strike was able to get back.
Corey Perry at the end of the shift didn't have much left.
He's got it again and plays it down low. Bourque trying to stuff it on the backhand, and it came right through the crease. At the end of a shift, Perry making a lot happen for a guy at the end of his rope. Vatanen head up all the way, coast to coast, into the Philly zone, and he gets tripped up as he tried to make one last move.
Look out here.
Voracek in a hurry, has Raffl with it. Giroux trailing the play, loses the puck. Vatanen, he's out of gas. Will get center red and get it deep.
What the coaches say about Sami Vatanen? Sometimes they wish he would try and do it just a little bit less.
Now Cogliano forechecking as Giroux comes all the way back. Around the board, Silverberg picks it off the wall, can't get to the front of the net. Fowler throws it wide. And McDonald throws it over the glass and out of play. I believe this is going to be a delay of game penalty on the Flyers. Anaheim will have a huge power play chance when we come back. Tied at 3, every play is important, even when Sami Vatanen goes coast to coast like buttered toast. Tied at 3 in the third. A reminder to stay with us. Ducks Live is immediately following the game, as always brought to you by Mazda.
Well, here's the penalty by McDonald. He just hoists this over. Watch all the Ducks. Everyone's calling the penalty. Yeah, Smith-Pelly, Cogliano.
The eyes have it.
They were on top of it.
5th Anaheim power play of the night. They're 0 for 4. Vatanen moves it to Kessler. Perry down low. To his knees was Mason. Getzlaf holds it in. And around for Kessler. Shovels it up the high glass, and it goes right over the head of Maroon. Getzlaf pushes the wall but can't seal it off, and Vatanen has to wait for the mates to get onside. 20 seconds gone in the power play. Sammy up the middle. Hands it off. Maroon drops it back. Getzlaf can't get it back to Maroon, and the Flyers able to ice it. Matt Reed does the honors and goes to the bench for a change. Andersen stick handling with 1:20 to go in the power play. Kessler with room through the middle. Storms into the zone. Maroon chips it below the goal line. Grossman got a hit on Kessler. Maroon wins the puck. It comes to the slot. Getzlaf drifts back out. Vatanen one-timer just wide. Rebound squirts to the far side of the net. Mason can't cover. Kessler gets it back to the point. Getzlaf near side. Takes a look. Fans imploring him to shoot. Instead, behind the net to Maroon. He gives it right back. Now Perry all the way out at the line. To Getzlaf at the dot. Wants to pass. It ricochets in front. Chops straight up in the air. Kessler ends up with it. And a fluttering puck that rolls wide. Ducks are recovering all the pucks now. And the Philadelphia penalty killers are running out of gas. Perry brings it to the front. Then passes behind the net to Getzlaf. Getzlaf curls on the far boards. Shoots. Screen from Perry, and it bounces right back out. They score! Pat Maroon!
Well, great hands by Maroon, who finds his puck. I don't think it ever sat flat, and he just snaps it up into the top of the net. Getzlaf hits Perry with the initial shot. The Flyers can't get the clear, and in comes Pat Maroon. He gets inside position on the high penalty killing forward and just snaps it up into the top of the net. It's a big goal for Maroon, his second of the season.
Maroon with a goal and an assist tonight. Now has 7 points in his last 7 games. His second of the year on the power play at 14:58. And the Ducks have their first lead of the night. It's 4-3. Voracek trying to spin off a hit from Fowler, loses the puck down low in the Anaheim zone. Giroux is over to support and keeps it in. Jacob Voracek Circles the net, hands it off to McDonald. Chips it down low.
Their D are coming. Their D are coming all the way down from the blue line.
Voracek covers the point, tries to get it to the net, and the Ducks steal. Here's Silverberg behind the defense. Shoots. It's over top. Cogliano was with him. He collects it and shovels it across the zone as the rest of the Ducks change behind the play. Well, if you're the Flyers, you kill off 4 Anaheim power plays, then you take a delay of game penalty, and it's almost inevitable that's the penalty that ends up in your net, and that is what has happened here tonight. Again, the Ducks have their first lead of the night, thanks to Pat Maroon on the power play. As advertised, it's Miller time, brought to you by our friends at Miller Lite and brought to you by Patrick Maroon.
Quick hands. That's the thing about Maroon, big guy, and once he gets inside, there's absolutely no way the Flyers are going to be able to prevent Pat Maroon from directing that puck towards the net. He finds the top shelf against the butterfly goaltender Mason. It's a huge goal for Maroon.
Against his former team. And if you're the Flyers, Brian, 24 hours removed from losing on the road with 11 seconds left. You led 3-1 in the second here. And now you give up a power play goal on a delay of game call with 5 minutes left in regulation to go down 4-3. You got to be thinking, what next? I mean, it's a Murphy's Law kind of month or so for this Philadelphia team. Obviously, a long way to go here. But if you're not playing with confidence, these are the sort of things that can get you down. Craig Berube's team without a win in their last 8 on the road. And losers of their last 5 straight. Bolesky storms in. Surrounded by Flyers. Can't come away with the puck. Simmons tries to go through the middle. It's picked off by Kessler. Long wrist shot. And Mason wants to keep playing. Under 3 to go in the game as he lays it down for Mark Streit. Couturier's pass across off Simmons' stick. The Ducks will hinge it back as Philadelphia goes for changes. Smith Pelly off the wing, deflected out of play by Colbert.
Yeah, keep throwing it at Mason, make him handle the puck. Keep the Flyers back on their heels, and you can just look at the bench of the Philadelphia Flyers. It kind of says it all, the look in their eyes. They've seen this movie before. Don't play a bad game. They're competitive. They're in the game. It's almost like just 1 or 2 bad things happen and it makes a difference in the outcome.
Tonight's the first time in the last 6 games they've scored more than 2 goals in a game. They have been held to 2 goals or less in 7 of their last 8 in all. They've been shut out 3 times in that span. They find some offense. They build a lead, but they haven't been able to hold it. Ducks keeping the pressure on. Puck bounces off Colburn's stick, and he's going back into his own zone, pursued by Cogliano. Silverberg is there as well, and now the Flyers working up the wall. Couturier backhands it in. Anderson waits for it to enter the trapezoid, swings it back from where it came. A bouncing puck, and Streit can't settle down, and it's battled out to center ice. We'll keep an eye on Mason now, Brian. Just a minute 55 to go in a 1-goal game.
It's the big line for the Flyers on the ice right now.
Will they come off the rest of the game?
Well, maybe not. I mean, Claude Giroux has played a ton already in this 3rd period.
Mason to the bench. The net is empty. The Flyers have the 6th attacker on as Getzlaf bats it out of the zone. Flyers have to get back onside. Simmons gets it out of his feet. Tried to center, broken up by Botten. Played back to him. A nice play by Bolesky. And the Ducks use the boards to clear. Streit, the lone man back for Philadelphia, turns away from Perry with a minute 20 left. Now hands it off. Giroux flips it in. Blocker to the corner by Anderson. Giroux gets there first. Behind the net, out of the reach of Lindholm. Raffl whips it around. Excuse me, it was Simmons. Now to the point. Streit serves it over. Wide open. Giroux and his one-timer. Anderson got a little piece of it. Under a minute to go in regulation. Back to the line. It's Streit again. Giroux calling for it. He'll try again, and he misses on the wide side this time. It comes around and out.
Claude Giroux hammers 2 one-timers. He misses over the net on the first one. He misses far post on the second one.
Voracek loses the puck. And Kessler tried to leave it there for Thompson, and the Flyers nearly put it back in their own net. Again, Manson steps up in the neutral zone. Thompson, he'll get to this loose puck. He has a man alone in front. Smith-Pelly can't handle the pass. And back comes Simmons. Across the line for Schenn. Loses the handle. Fowler to the corner. Whips it hard around. Held there by Voracek. 10 seconds left. Fowler down low. Schenn gets it back for Giroux. To the line. One-timer by McDonald. Saved by Anderson. Rebound is loose. And the Flyers score! With 1.8 seconds remaining, Wayne Simmons has his second of the night.
The Ducks have a chance for the empty netter, and the puck bounces on Devontae Smith-Pelly. And credit the Philadelphia Flyers. I mean, they get this puck back, put it in a good spot for Mark Streit to hammer it from the middle of the ice. And then it's just whacking away for the rebound. At this point, the Ducks get opportunities to clear a couple of times. They cannot. And Wayne Simmons taps it over the line. This is just an enormous goal, morale-wise, for the Philadelphia Flyers. Boy, you can't ask much more for Freddie Anderson.
Yeah. Anderson made 3 good saves. And 1.8 seconds is all that keeps us from overtime tonight at Honda Center. Well, you got to give the Flyers points for resiliency. They lose in regulation with 11.5 seconds left last night. And they tie it with 1.8 seconds left here tonight.
Well, Wayne Simmons, the hero right now for Philadelphia. He's the one that extends it into overtime. Here was the empty net chance. Thompson flicks it over to Smith-Pelly. Look at that bounce. He was wide open. And unfortunately, the puck would not settle. And Wayne Simmons cashes one in late to get at least a point for Philadelphia. The Ducks want 2 points. They want to go back to the top of the NHL standings with 2 points in this game. A good start to the game for Philadelphia. They actually took a 3-1 lead. Cam Fowler got things going offensively for the Ducks. Simmons made it 2-1 Philadelphia. And then Umberger got a bounce off his hip into the crease. Ryan Getzlaf on an outnumbered attack would bring Anaheim back to within a goal. And then Sammy Vatanen with just an incredible individual effort, helped out by Pat Maroon. Boy, Maroon's had a good night. Vatanen's had a real good night tonight. Pat Maroon thought he had the game-winning goal. Would have been a power play goal for Pat Maroon. And in less than 2 seconds, Wayne Simmons ties it at 4.
So to overtime we go, where the Flyers are 7-1 in the last 2 years in games decided in the 4-on-4 5-minute segment. And that includes this season, in which they are 2-0. They don't have nearly that kind of luck in shootouts. They have lost the last 8 times they've gone to a shootout. But the Ducks were less than 2 seconds away from going to the locker room.
The goaltenders change ends, long change here in the overtime session. We'll play 4-on-4. I like the new dry scrape, how they're handling it now, John. They're doing it by hand. It's much quicker. We can drop the puck, get things going. We always have this discussion about non-conference teams playing in the overtime session, and do they play it more aggressively when that extra point is on the line?
So the Ducks will start with Getzlaf and Perry, Vatanen, and Lindholm to begin overtime. The Ducks 1-2 in games decided in the 5-minute overtime this season. Couturier into the Anaheim zone. Giroux did play the last 2 minutes of the period, so you have to wonder what he's got in the tank and what he might be able to, when he might be able to come on the ice. Here's Coburn, steps up, and Anderson, point blank. We're still playing because of Freddie.
Yep. Turnover by the Ducks in the defensive zone. Puck came to Corey Perry on the wall, and the Flyers were able to get it back. What a good stop by Frederik Andersen. We'll call this a strong positional save. Coburn doesn't make the shot that he was looking for, but Andersen was there, blocked it, handled the rebound.
Well, here's the answer to my question. After 28 seconds off, Claude Giroux's back out for Philadelphia with Voracek in an offensive zone face-off to the right of Andersen. And Kessler wins it. Andersen steers it aside. Manson gets the feet moving. Josh Manson with room. 3-on-2 are the Ducks. Manson all the way back. Silverberg stopped by Mason.
Good rush up ice by Josh Manson.
Great rush from Josh Manson.
Good hard pass, too.
Voracek going diagonally through the neutral zone. Finally throws it deep. Fowler with a fluttering puck. And he has to reverse it away from pressure. Silverberg is there to support. And he lays it back for Josh Manson. A minute gone in overtime. Both teams have had grade A opportunities. Fowler drops it back. Manson finds room and gets it deep. Anaheim wants to change defensively. Lindholm comes out and has to retreat as the Flyers possess. Now turns and chases to the corner. On his hip is Scott Laughton. The rookie takes it away. Laughton, who assisted on the game-tying goal, now feeds it back for Schultz. Laughton converged upon and loses the puck. 2-on-1 of the Ducks. Vatanen shoots. Oh, and Mason, I think, got just a piece of it. Kept in at the far point by Smith-Pelly, who now changes. Cogliano was with Vatanen, who chose to shoot. Both Cogliano and Coburn go down behind the Philadelphia goal. They play on. Open is Fowler. Great pass over it. Cogliano just couldn't settle it. Back come the Flyers. Laughton throws it in from center ice. Well, they're going to rule he got the red line there. I wasn't sure. Andrew Cogliano looked like he had the game on his stick.
Well, he did. The Ducks have had a couple of great chances here. Mason has come up big for Philly.
Fowler, rink wide to Bolesky. Can't find it in his skates, then collides with Fowler. Here's a breakaway. Matt Reed. Good save, Andersen.
The Ducks run into one another in the neutral zone. The turnover leads to the breakaway for Reed. He's looking for the top corner all the way, and a great stop by the goaltender Andersen. Here was the one-timer for Jakob Silverberg. Mason does a good job getting across, and then Sammy Vatanen's trying to go high blocker. Mason takes that away from him. Here was that play. But Mason again, John, really made a nice play on Cogliano. Aggressive poke check move. Knocked the puck right off his stick.
Shots are 31-29 in favor of the Ducks in what has been a wildly entertaining game. Tied at 4. We're in overtime. Grossman to Giroux, and now Voracek, forced back by Getzlaf. Each team has picked up a point. The Flyers tied it with less than 2 seconds left in regulation. Giroux's pass across, picked off by Fowler. Quickly jumping into the play again, it's Manson. Fowler takes the shot, blocker saved by Mason. Carey was the trailer there. Manson stays up on the play, and now he calls to his forwards, and he's able to get back. Voracek now across the line, wires it, and a blocker saved by Andersen. Braden Shen trying to pull it off the far wall as the Flyers change, backhands it across. Strike, didn't get much on it. And a left pad save on a changeup by Andersen. The rebound was nearly there for the taking. Lindholm gets the lead from Getzlaf with Perry, who is offside on the play.
Both teams have had their chances here in the extra session. A little redirect. Watch Streit throw this towards the front of the net. It actually goes off of Corey Perry's stick. And the Ducks fortunate. That rebound appeared to be there for Braden Shen. Freddie Andersen leaning away from that post. And the puck gets deflected. It's a very difficult play for the goaltender.
$1:31 to go in overtime. And the Flyers win the draw. Streit will circle back. Former Montreal Canadian and New York Islander. Still with it at center. Puts it on the wing. Coburn, his defense partner, misses. And Simmons just getting it back on net. A smart play. Andersen had to come over to the near side post. Vatanen is up with it. 1:05 left in overtime as he looks up ice. Crisscrossing through the middle. The Ducks are onside. Kessler gave it to Silverberg. Silverberg peels back. Middle of the ice. Lindholm throws it to the net, and it never got there. Under a minute to go. 3-on-2. The Flyers back the other way. Simmons takes the shot. Glove save by Anderson.
He looked like he wanted to give it up and launch a counterattack himself.
I think the rest of the Ducks were too tired.
Deception, yeah. The goaltender catches the puck. You look up, look at the eyes of your defenseman, and you can see a couple of guys did the old flyby there. They didn't want Freddie Anderson to give him the puck. He wisely holds on.
Wayne Simmons has had quite a night in his return to Southern California. He'll play his old team on Saturday afternoon at Staples. Face-off win for Nate Thompson. And Fowler from behind the Anaheim goal has to reverse it away. Manson loses it for a minute. And now has Voracek all over him. Got it to the line. McDonald across. Schultz with a drive save by Anderson. Manson shovels it up the boards for Getzlaf. Half a minute in overtime. He's joined by Thompson. Crisscrossing into the Philadelphia zone. Nate Thompson takes a shot that's blocked. And that goes into the netting and back onto the ice surface. 22.8 remains in overtime.
Thompson and Getzlaf, two centers on the ice for the defensive zone draw. Thompson, great job in the faceoff circle in tonight's game. Won 7 out of 10 in the D zone.
Kessler, excuse me, Brian, to take this big offensive zone draw.
Yeah, the Ducks in the defensively tonight. Faceoffs in their zone, they've won at about a 70% clip in the defensive zone.
Face off to the left of Mason. Couturier to oppose Kessler. Ducks win it. Perry to the corner. One-on-one with Grossman, who just out-muscles him. Kessler picks it up, tries to wrap it around. Mason got there in time. Coburn got high-sticked. He couldn't draw the call as play goes on. Now he drags it along the boards, turns it over to Perry with 5 seconds left. The Flyers chip it out. Here's Matt Reed in a hurry. 2 seconds left. He fires. Anderson with one last save. And we go to a shootout tonight at Honda Center, and we take a look at our Land Rover player of the game. He's been all over the ice, and he has a goal tonight. Sammy Vatanen.
The 4-4 game, I would predict that Sammy Vatanen is probably going to be the player of the game a lot. Look at the ice time for him. With the Ducks again shorthanded, Stoner coming back. Not at 100% physically. Vatanen is going to play a ton. Remember the last time these two teams hooked up, it also went to a shootout. That is a lightning quick release from Jakob Silverberg that would score. And William Karlsson, who's no longer on the Ducks roster, he's down in Norfolk, scored the winner in the shootout to give the Ducks that extra point in the opener of the season against the Philadelphia Flyers. So can they do it again tonight?
We are told Bruce Boudreau will choose to let the Flyers go first. It's the home team's option. Flyers have lost 8 straight in shootouts, including the only 3 they've been in this year. They haven't won a shootout since late December of last year. Jacob Voracek, the number 2 scorer in the league, the first shooter to approach Frederik Andersen slowly. And he can't go 5-hole.
He crawls in on Freddie Andersen. And Andersen shows great patience. Voracek thinking 5-hole. Andersen, look how he gets down, and those pads just seal it up.
Jakob Silverberg far and away the Ducks' most adept this season, 4 of 6. And he'll lead off against Mason. Let's see if Mason remembers or if Silverberg tries something new. Score! Mason got a piece of it. That's why he's so frustrated.
This one goes through Mason. And you bet that's frustrating for a goaltender. And the reason it goes through is because of the speed of the release. He cannot slam the door and clamp that right elbow into the side of his body fast enough.
Sean Couturier, the second shooter for the Flyers. A left-hand shot. Comes with a little more speed. And scores. Anderson went for the poke check.
You know, it is a low percentage play for a goaltender whenever a forward is coming in straight on. Kopechek's much more effective when they come from the angle, but if they come straight on, boy, it's a fishing expedition.
Looked like Couturier might have stepped on Anderson's stick a little bit, but he got in close. Here comes Corey Perry. Loves to sweep wide off right wing. That's what he'll do. Score!
Goes 5-hole. I guarantee you that Corey Perry in the summers has shot a few pucks against Mason. Sweeps in wide, freezes the goaltender, opens up that 5-hole and just snaps it through.
So a save from Frederik Andersen, no small task on Claude Giroux, will win the game. Giroux, bicycle kicks and Andersen doesn't fight. The Ducks survive in a shootout tonight.
Finding ways to win. I mean, that's what this team is doing right now, decimated by injuries. They just find a way to get that second point. They go back to the top of the NHL standings. And Freddie Andersen looked like he bought into the first fake by Claude Giroux. Maybe Giroux was just too tired at that point, John. Didn't come off the ice at all, seemingly, in that third period. But a huge stop by the Anaheim netminder. And Freddie Andersen keeps rolling.
They don't ask how, they ask how many. For the Ducks, win number 16 this season. And for Frederik Andersen, his 12th win as Anaheim trailed 3-1. Then came back to take a 4-3 lead. And they win it in a shootout, 5-4.